from the Ticats Audio Network, this is the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker.
Hey, Ticat fans. Yes, welcome to the Coach O Show with Luke Tasker. That's me, and I'm joined every week by Orlondo Steinauer, head coach of the Hamilton Ticats. Coach, congratulations, being 3-0. The last stretch of the season here. As the games get more and more important, you guys are taking care of business better and better each week. You solidified your playoff appearance. Congrats on that as well. What's the feeling? What is that feeling like as a head coach?
Well, I mean, when you start each season, you of course you just want to get through the preseason healthy and then start the regular season. But the first goal is always to get into the playoffs. The other stuff is for the media and the fans. But in order to get to the ultimate prize, the only way you can do that is to get in first. And of course, from being around here, once that box is checked, then you start, understanding the scenarios of home playoff games or potential buys and that stuff. So the fact that we were able to check that box, there's never a bad week to check the box to give yourself a chance to win a championship. And, the goal is always to not be one of the three teams that are getting glad bags.
Yeah, that's good. As a player, I do remember, a little bit of a big exhale. I mean, like you said, you checked that box, and no matter what happens for the next 2 weeks, you're going to have a chance at it. Do you take the foot off the pedal at all? Are there some guys who you're going to expect to see a little less of from your own team, or are you motivated and are these guys ready to go to try to get a bye week? Is it that important, or is health more important?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think each year presents its own set of challenges. And I think I'd be lying to you if I said one was more important than the other. Pushing hard for the goals of a bye week at the expense of not being healthy is tough. And, as we say, that the best ability is actually availability. And if you're not available, you're not good to anybody. So I think each week it's different. We're always going to take the field and try to win. There's not any game that we will ever approach. As long as I'm in charge here, or any time that you are even around, that we said, it's okay if that doesn't even enter the mind. If we're that concerned about injuries and whatnot, we ought to not play somebody or sit them down or have a plan to say they're only going to play X amount of quarters. But if you're in, we're playing to win.
Yeah. Coach, things have changed, as the season has progressed for you guys. Obviously the wins have started to come, and that's, the biggest thing is to start filling up the win column, and you've done that. What the team looks different though. In the early games, there were struggles that we're not seeing anymore. In your eyes, what's been the biggest difference that on this team's progression through the season?
Takeaways, turnovers.
I love the specific answer, because you're so right. That is it. That turnover ratio is deadly. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're not interrupting at all. It's a conversation. And so that would be that. I think we're protecting the quarterback a lot better. And we're getting after the quarterback. Sack columns is always what everybody looks at, but being close does count when you're rushing the passer. And so while it may not show up in the stats, if you got somebody uncomfortable back there, oftentimes that makes a huge difference also. Special teams wise, I feel like we've given our football team some great starting field position more consistently. Although we haven't hit the home runs, I feel like we've had a few doubles and a lot of singles to, get a first down or two that our offense doesn't have to get. We've just kind of, and I think that our complementary and situation football has improved. And if it hasn't tangibly improved, the awareness of it has. Some of those things, when you have a more veteran team that just goes without saying, and maybe, you may be reminding, in your cases, you may have known it as a player that it was a crucial situation. And so you're yelling out to your guys ball security. Where that's not even in the mind of a young player. It's where am I going? How am I lining up? What's my split? That's where leadership comes in. That's the things that people don't quite understand, where maybe they see you cover the ball up and they're like, oh, that's the reminder. And that's where, and so when you have a younger team, some of that thing has to come from coaching. And so I think, I've said about 5 things now after saying something specific, but I think all those things combined have given us a better chance to win each week.
Yeah. No, you're so right. And there's a lot of things that go into the progression each season. And I so remember years where you get to October, November, and the film from July doesn't even look like the same team. I mean, it just everything progressed, and you went such a, became such a different unit. The turnover ratio is just so telling. And of course, the 3 teams leading with the best turnover ratios are Winnipeg, Sask, and the Ticats. And those are the teams that have been able to win in recent, in the last stretch of the season, especially. RJ Broadhead and I, when we're up in the booth, every week we get on some sort of rant or spiel about the Ticats defensive secondary. There's interceptions across the board. You have somebody leading in knockdowns, leading in interceptions. It's just a very, very impressive unit. Is that unit part of the team identity? I mean, are they, because for us, for onlookers, when I think of the Ticats right now, I think of a solid, a defensive secondary that's very, very hard to move the ball down the field on. What is their presence in the locker room and in the team meetings like, that unit?
I'll answer it kind of backwards. In the locker room, I really wouldn't know, Luke. You've been around me for a little bit, and I'm just not a steady presence down there. Unless I'm heading to the therapy room, I just really feel like that's the player's domain, and that's it. And, I don't have people taking the temperature. That's truly handled by the players. And that's just the way we choose to do it around here. The secondary, so their identity, obviously the number one criteria to play in our secondary is a playmaker. And are you versatile? Can you play more than one position? And that's just something that I've learned. And it's something that we look for. And, not everybody can do that. You'd like to say everybody, this is a field half, this is a field corner, but you've got to be flexible. And for the most part, we've had our halfbacks have been in place and at our Sam/nickel position, but our corners have been interchangeable. And, we've had some injuries at halfback and whatnot, but you just have to kind of be a student of the game and be ready to plug and play. And I feel like they have that. I feel like, Craig Butler's done an outstanding job with them. And of course, Mark laying the foundation before. And, that's kind of where I cut my teeth in this league. And, so I feel like between the 3 of us, we have a decent amount of knowledge to pass on, but also give a lot of grace for mistakes. We're far from perfect back there, but I think that they compete with each other. I think they have fun. I think there's a genuine appreciation. Our fourth part of our team that, it's always offense, defense, and special teams, but we refer to our look team or scout team as a 4th phase that is very important. It never shows up on game day or gets credit, but they're making us better in practice every day. And how important those looks are, especially from being on the other side. When Dane used to, whiz the ball around against our defense and whatnot. And then the look that the defense gives is extremely important. So, they're deserving of what they've had, but I think they would be the first. If you sat them all down, they'd tell you about the plays they didn't make. And, but I think our identity also comes from the being close counts up front also. It's amazing how good you can cover when there's pressure, and it's amazing how much pressure you can get when you cover good. And that's why football is beautiful. It's the ultimate team sport.
That's great. Yeah, you're so right. It's been a fun defense to watch this year. You've brought up the 4th phase of the Ticats a couple times this year. I think that's just a really, really great coaching point that you've obviously developed, as you've become a head coach. And Jalen Acklin last week, I just to recall off the top of my head, he had an interview with Louis B, and he just gave some love, like spread some love around to the guys in his receiving room that aren't finding their way on the field on game days, but are, really, really working and helping this team get better in that 4th phase that you say. So that change that you've made, in a personal level, as a head coach, you obviously put an emphasis on making that a very important part of this 2021 team. It appears to be paying off, you'd say?
Well, you'd think so. I think it's important that everybody get recognized. I mean, and I know I keep referencing this, but, I know you can relate. And for the people listening, it's, how many times were we in a team meeting when we were passing out a T-shirt or whatnot, and it wasn't even a player? It might have been the chef. Some weeks it might have been the video coordinator. And everybody's vested in this. And the video coordinator is never going to get his name in the paper. And neither is the chef, and neither are the people serving our food or the custodian. And they're all breathing the same way. They're just not as tired after practice as we are, Yeah. But other than that, they ride the roller coaster the same ride. And I just think that there's, everybody has a title, but they're people first. And we treat them as people, and everybody's kind of held accountable, and then away we go.
Yeah, I can account firsthand to that. I don't think I was ever part of a team where we recognized sort of the second tier or, the non-player people that were important to the on-field success as 2019 when you were in charge, and goes a long way. It makes the whole system work better when everybody knows they're appreciated. So you certainly have that in mind. So Coach, Toronto this week, it's obviously a big game. A win for Hamilton means a loss for Toronto. It's a beautiful thing to have in control. 2 of the 3 meetings this year, Toronto has won each of those games by 1 point. In the last 2 weeks, they've won by a handful of points each game. Is there something about this team that you can notice that's tangible, that you say this is why they're able to win those close games?
Well, I just think they have a belief system, and I think when you win a lot of close games, whether you look at it like that or not, but you kind of are slowly getting battle tested. And when you're in those situations, I think, sometimes there's less panic. Just because you think that you're in every game. So, I don't really speak for other teams or whatnot. I can just tell you what I see is that they've won some close games and found a way to win. And that's why, they're a game better than us at this point. And so credit them. No, we're going to have our hands full. But if you said, we could fast forward the season and with 2 weeks to go, you'd be playing for first place, you'd probably sign up.
Yeah.
And so I love the buildup. I love the media. It's part of, we're in a sports entertainment business, but there's a test every week. Right. And so right now we're preparing for that. And this is fun, but the most fun is when you kick the ball off. So, they're going to be ready to go and we're going to be ready to go. And then that's why you kick the ball off. That's
great. Your team found another way to win last week, as they've made a habit of in the last month of playing. But what's the change you're looking to see from them going into this matchup with Toronto? Where do they still need to get better?
I think we just need to close out games a little bit cleaner. We found a way to close out games, and I know we're splitting hairs there. At the end of the day, it's about 1 more point and winning. But there are some improvements. You'd like to see, guys are playing hard. And that's what I love. And you hate to be overly critical of, say, maybe a no yards penalty when a guy blows a guy up and backs him in and he's 4.5 yards away instead of 5. But I guess when you leave plays in other people's hands, it's a 50-50 call. So you don't want to close down aggression, but you do want to draw attention to it. The first thing we do is we're going to address the elephant in the room, right? And that's what we do. We strive to get better. So we'd like to see some improvement in that area. And it's not that we've had a whole boatload of penalties. It's the timing of them sometimes. You could only have 3 in a game, and if they're all crucial, they're magnified. So you like to see a little bit of a improvement there. And I think last week we struggled a little bit on both sides of the ball on second down and that, but we did make some timely conversions and some timely stops at crucial times that definitely were part of the positive outcome. So those are some things, but each week presents its own challenges, but definitely would like to see some improvement in those areas for sure.
Yeah, timely timely turnover as well. You know, he had another interception this week that came at a time where the game could have started to tilt back, in BC's favor, momentum. Speaking to the momentum, and your defense came up with an interception. It's just, that's sort of been what's popped off the field to me in the booth this year, is just the timeliness of some of the big plays and the timeliness of some of the turnovers. And, that comes, in my experience as a player, that comes from guys understanding the magnitude of the moment, guys who are hungry to be the guy and to make the play. And it seems to me like a good recipe going into the postseason as well. Coach, I appreciate your time every week. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward very much to see this game in Toronto this weekend.
That makes two of us. Thanks, right, Luke. I appreciate it. Bye for now.
The Coach O Show with Luke Tasker. Like, subscribe, and find out what Coach is thinking every Tuesday.